Am I the antagonist for asking my niece if she knows what she's talking about? My sister has two kids, John, who is 15 years old, and Annie, who is 16 years old. They have very different personalities. John is more typical for a 15-year-old boy who is into sports. Annie, on the other hand, feels like she doesn't fit in, or at least that's how she sees herself. Yesterday, my sister called me and asked if I could take care of John for a couple of nights. I agreed and asked her for the reason. She told me that Annie had done something out of line. Last year, John's report card was not great. He was quite embarrassed about it, but there was an underlying reason. He often goes through periods of depression, and my sister and her husband have been seeking professional help for him. However, progress has been slow. Annie is aware of this, but hasn't really shown any concern. We assumed she didn't fully understand how serious it is. Well, it turns out she took pictures of John's report card and posted them on her Snapchat story. Most people didn't care, but a few select friends of Annie's made a big deal out of it. John's friends, who have Annie blocked, texted him about it, and he got really upset. They had a huge fight, and Annie said some awful things, calling him an idiot who fakes his depression. She even told him that their parents should care more about her than him. It was a terrible fight, and my sister wants to figure out why Annie said those things. However, she doesn't want John to be subjected to Annie anymore. So, I went to pick up John, and while I was discussing the next few nights with my sister, Annie came out of her room yelling at me. She accused me of taking John's side as well. I didn't say anything, which made her even more upset. She said, I need someone on my side too. You're all taking his side because he pretends to have depression. I thought you would be smarter about this, considering how intelligent you are. But you're just like all the other victims of misogyny. My sister was at a loss for words, and all I could say was, do you even know what you're talking about? This statement struck a nerve with Annie, and she went on a rant about how she does know because she's a woman. She claimed to have dealt with misogyny her whole life and accused me of questioning her experience because I'm a woman too. She used big words throughout her rant, and while I understand her point in general, it doesn't apply in this particular situation, in my opinion. Anyway, Annie ended up making a TikTok video about our family being misogynistic, using my statement as the main example. Although her account is private, she has a few hundred followers who seem horrified by what I said. I know this because she sent me screenshots of the comments. So, am I the asshole in this situation? Annie crossed a line by posting John's report card on her Snap story and making hurtful comments about his mental health struggles. It's understandable that your sister doesn't want to subject John to any more of Annie's behavior. You were in the right to support John and take him in for a few nights to give everyone some space. Annie's reaction and accusation of misogyny were uncalled for and didn't apply to the situation. While misogyny is a real issue, it doesn't excuse her actions or words in this particular situation. Additionally, her making a TikTok video about it and involving others is just adding fuel to the fire and escalating the situation. Your sister is doing her best to support both of her children, and it's unfortunate that Annie is not showing understanding or empathy towards John's mental health struggles. Hopefully, your sister can address this issue and the family can work on resolving the conflict and finding a way to support both children. Am I the antagonist for leaving my friend in Thailand after she lost her passport? My friend, 19, and I, 20, had planned a month-long trip to Vietnam and Thailand. We have just finished our Thailand part of the trip and we're packing to leave for Vietnam. Our flight was in a couple of hours. While packing, she realized she had lost her passport. For context, she has been fairly careless this trip, with her bank card being blocked because she didn't inform her bank about her travel plans and losing her phone by leaving it around our hostel. When she found out she had lost her passport, she immediately called her brother and ignored my questions because she was stressed. I asked her if we should look up how to get an emergency passport, and she said no because she was too stressed and her brother would find out what to do. She kept avoiding me by walking into different rooms and giving one-word replies. So I decided that I wouldn't be of any help by staying in the hotel, and since our flight was in an hour, I chose to go to Vietnam. I had already booked and paid for my entire trip in advance, and I didn't want to lose the money. Additionally, I felt like I was getting in the way and was confused about what was happening. At the time, she was fine with my decision to leave, hugged me goodbye, and told me she would miss me. However, when I landed, I received a text from our mutual friend saying that she was really mad at me and was telling everyone that I abandoned her in a different country. When I asked her about it, she said that now that she had some time to think about it, she thought I was an asshole for leaving and that if the situation was reversed, she would have stayed. She said I should have offered to stay and that she shouldn't have had to ask. Our friends say they understand both sides, but my family says I'm in the right as I shouldn't waste my trip and money. Based on the information provided, it seems that the situation is a difficult one. On one hand, you had already booked and paid for your trip in advance and didn't want to lose the money. Additionally, your friend had been careless throughout the trip, losing her bank card and phone. It could be argued that you couldn't have predicted her losing her passport and that you were not obligated to stay and help her. On the other hand, leaving your friend alone in a foreign country, especially in a stressful situation, may have been seen as unsupportive and insensitive by her. She may have expected you to offer to stay and help find a solution, even if she didn't explicitly express it. While your family understands your decision, it's important to consider the impact this has had on your friend. She feels abandoned and betrayed, and your mutual friend also shares her perspective. It may be worth apologizing to your friend and making an effort to understand her feelings. It's possible that a compromise or alternative arrangement could have been found, such as accompanying her to the embassy and then catching a later flight. In this situation, it seems that both parties made mistakes and could have communicated better. It's important to acknowledge each other's perspectives and work towards a resolution that respects both your needs and the feelings of your friend. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.